Hey everybody, before we get started, just to remind you this episode brought to your patrons like Adam DeHarp, Ika Comics, Architect 10, Black G, Carlos, Quad, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, Some Guy Named Bob, Soda Son over 2 for 723, and Zach Reed. If you like what we do and want to see you do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. At this time, once again, to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games, for now. Yeah, still for now. There's a couple of things coming down the pipeline. Still, Fantasy Flight's website that works and has news, and their Twitter that's tweeting about it, so I'd say they still do it. And yes, we're still making Legion videos for now, again. Like, as at least until through the FFG era of Legion ends properly, we're here, We'll still be a big Star Wars stan channel. Just, the continuing work of releasing Legion videos will probably taper off, though, after that, especially because I don't know where I'm going to get my news and announcements and stuff. And none of you watched the Lando Callis preview, so shame on you. Anyway, we're going to talk about Clone Wars Specialists, Republican Separatist Specialists. Oh, I just realized it still says Separatist on the box. You know what? I'm not going to change the slide. It's too late. I really should make 2 videos, but I'm lazy, even though that means I'm going to make a bigger video I have to fight over. I'm going to make 1 video and do them in sequence. Anyway, we've wasted enough time. Let's jump in. You know what you're here for. You want to talk about the Clone Commander and all that stuff, and the Separatist Commander. Well, spoilers, we're going to talk about the Clone Commander first. Okay, the Clone Commander. This is definitely not my third friggin' take of this, because there's like 50 billion errors in my slides, because I'm dealing with 9 of them. There's 9 slides, and it's a lot of information, and it's really annoying me that I keep having to fix it, but I do. Anyway, Herp Derp, Clone Commander, he's 55 points. I've said that like 3 times. I'm sorry to take out my frustration on you, audience, but I'm tired of it. It's 55 points. You knew this already. I'm pretty sure this was all spoiled. 4 wounds, 2 courage, red defense, no surge, speed 2. Normal stuff for a commander. Nothing particularly interesting or bad or good there. Just, it's stuff. Also, he's a clone trooper unit. Keywords, bolster 2. So, like spotter, like take cover, you can take an action, give up to 2 units a surge token. Pretty decent. Pretty good addition. And I believe that and direct, the next one, were all revealed in the last RRG. Speaking of which, direct, core clone trooper unit. During the command phase, you can issue an order to a friendly clone trooper unit that is a core unit at range 1 to 2. Cool, neat. Certainly that's a really good one. That only applies to clone troopers that are cores. And, honestly, I think I'm going to assume, the way they're trying to balance this is that it has to be a clone trooper unit, and the droid one has to be droid trooper unit. So, it doesn't necessarily make sense for rebels and Imperials, who also especially have these very diverse core units. They're very different in how they operate, except maybe like troopers and veterans, right? But even then, they're wearing Hoth gear. So it's an interesting one, and it definitely synergizes very strongly with those groups. And he also has Sharpshooter 1. Yay! The bolster and direct, I think, are the big deals here. You're gonna definitely see some interesting things with that direct. Getting an extra order is great, especially if you're using a generic commander and nothing else, or you're just using field commanders. And a very important rule that, for the moment anyway, only clones or droids can benefit from. Still, very solid basic framework. Upgrades, command slot, training slot, gear slot. We'll talk about some stuff you can put there in a second. But, pretty decent spread for a commander. For his attackos, he has a melee 2 red, advanced combat training. It's alright. I mean, it's not the best, but if you do get into an unfortunate incident where somebody dogpiles your commander, you can just punch him. And he has the commander's DC-15 blaster rifle, range 1 to 3, 3 black dice. It's alright. With token sharing, right? That's not the worst, in the world. If you got a buddy with an aim he doesn't need, you can actually modify those dice. Otherwise, it's a decent attack pool. When you're taking generic commanders, you're not really using them to dish out pain like that. But we appreciate the fact that he has a range 1 to 3, right? Even if it's just 3 black that are unmodified. So in terms of those upgrades, it's very interesting, space for everything. I think I've had talks in recent episodes about the usefulness of the command slot, right? So there are quite a few there. I wouldn't go for esteemed leader, probably. But, strict orders, aggressive tactics, improvised orders, the new inspiring presence, which is coming in these for clones. They confirm that. And separatists as well. But inspiring presence, which extends your panic bubble farther. Much like how commanding presence extends your order issuing bubble. That could be useful
because I think talking about inspiring presence, there aren't a lot of Republic and Separatist units who can really deliver that one to you, so this is another source of it. But we'll talk more about it in detail later, but there is also, for clones especially, a really good command upgrade in these packs that may want to go on them. Training, now that's an interesting, prospect. Endurance is pretty decent because they've only got 2, but, I mean, Sentinel, even if you can't share standby tokens, you can still might get them. But, offensive push, situational awareness are good. Gain tactical 1, gain outmaneuver if you're going to get some dodge tokens. That situational awareness goes very well with the Vigilance upgrade we're going to talk about later. Or just seize the initiative. Hey, I can tap this guy whenever I feel like it. And gear's a very good slot. We know that portable scanners will be coming in this, which is gives you take cover 1. But you may also just go with, recon intel, ascension cables, whatever you feel you need to. So, pretty decent spread all in all. I think these will be a huge boon, especially because Republic has access to field commanders as tank commanders. Does a lot of good things. Not particularly fancy pants, but it's a good unit to have. Let's talk about those new generic command cards real quick. And of course, as is the usual for these Legion videos, I've set it up so that y'all will see just the one single slide, so I don't have to make more slides of the different command cards. But I will have them all in big text individually because they're pulled out. So let's go ahead and hit up those command cards. So we'll start with the 1 pip. We knew this one already, but we'll cover it again. Synchronized Defensive, 1 vehicle, Republic only. After a friendly vehicle unit is issued in order, choose a friendly clone trooper at range 1 to 2 event and issue that unit in order. So basically, if you're trying to move vehicles, you play Synchronized Defensive, you give a vehicle in range in order, that vehicle taps another clone trooper in order, and if you're playing with a generic commander, you also tap another core clone trooper within 1 to 2 of you and it gets an order. So it's a 1 pip that could actually be the equivalent of naming 3 guys. But it has a 1 pip, so you get better priority. It's a decent effect. It'll help out vehicle synergy and encouraging use of vehicles, but it's not crazy broken or anything. The 2 pip, air support. You must issue an order to a commander or to a heavy unit, Republic only. Once this round, at the end of the activation of a friendly commander clone trooper unit or friendly field commander unit, you may perform an attack with the following weapon. 4+, so 4 to infinity, red, black, black, beam 2, immune deflect. It's immune to deflect, it's got beam 2, so you can spread it out a little. You can hit up multiple targets in the range. With the red, black, black, which will have the surge tokens. Here's the thing. You can only do this with the abilities of a appropriate clone commander or a unit with field commander. So, at the moment, that's the tank or the generic or clone captain Rex. Which, let me double check. This is surge setup. So, Rex is surge crit if you're running Rex party, basically. Rex plus a generic. And the Saber tank has no surge. So, it's alright. It's pretty good, Red, black, black. Get to do it a couple of times. Have your native surge. If you're running it with Rex, it's pretty spicy. It'll do some damage, probably. It'll be very accurate anyway. With that red die, you'll do at least one damage. It'll have all your native unit keywords. So, guys like the generic will get their get their sharpshooter. Rex will get his sharpshooter, etc. Now, Rex does not get gunslinger. Some people have been complaining about that. That's not how it works. You perform an attack with the following weapon. You don't perform an attack action. Gunslinger says explicitly, ranged attack action. So, no, this is a free attack. You don't get to gunslinger it. But it is a beam, so you do get to sweep it across multiple targets. All in all, I think it's a good card. I especially think it's good that making these generic but not generic. Like, right now, you can only use it with the generic commander and Rex, but you have a little bit of flexibility there, whereas if you were going to use the ranged attacks for Rebels and Imperials, you have to use Veers or Leia. A lot of people are complaining that they don't want to go back to the coordinated bombardment or maximum firepower meta. I don't think this is really going to shake that up. Keep in mind, it's a 2-pip that only nominates 1 commander or 1 heavy, and it's still a 2-pip, so it is different from their 1-pips. But I do think it gives some weapon flexibility to units who are trying to run tank commander builds, basically, right? You can definitely synergize this very well and get your air support, and beam 2, immunity deflect, decent. No Pierce, though. No Pierce, no Tactical, no none of that. So, not Tactical, Lethal. Lethal's the word I'm thinking of. So, at the moment, the only buddy who gets a modifier on these dice, barring spending aim tokens, but why would you spend aim tokens on a bonus attack, is Rex. So, I think this is decently balanced and actually quite interesting. And then third, of course, we have Attack of the Clones, 3-pip. 3 Clone Troopers, Republic only. When a unit is issued an order using this card, it either gains 1 Surge token or removes 1 Suppression token. So, as a generic 3-pip, you get to tap 3 Clone Trooper units. They can either ditch a suppression or they can gain a surge. This is great. This is a great generic card for Republic. It fits their themes very well. Encourages you to run, many Clone Trooper units. Hand them out orders. They're motivated. They're ready to go. There's nothing else really to talk about here. It's arguably a very bland one, but honestly, I think the generic command cards in these Specialist Pact have learned from the Rebel and Imperial ones, where those were like really finicky and specific, especially those 1-pips, whereas this is like, no, this is just generic good stuff. And with the Field Commander rule change, I think it applies in general to making Field Commander or Field Commander plus generic armies look a lot better. Alright? Neato. Okay, personnel upgrades. Personnel upgrades. The key thing at the Specialist Pack. So I think the interesting thing to note here with all of these is that you may notice that some of these have a higher price point and interesting things than a lot of other personnel Specialist Packs. That's because the Clone Engineer and Clone Medic specifically are not non-combatants. They still have guns. They can still shoot them. So this still adds an extra body, which is why they are costly. This is a full boy Clone Trooper with a special power you are adding. That is also why they are only Treat 1, Capacity 1. So, because some people confuse this, as a free action, you can treat a capacity. Treat a repair, sorry. And the average is usually capacity 2. The way this works is you place 1 token to the card, and you can then remove a wound token, or a poison token, or restore a mini to a friendly unit. And it's same with repair. You can use it to remove vehicle damage, ion tokens as well, or restore a friendly droid, a droid or vehicle mini. So, normally, these are usually averagely, like I said, capacity 2, so you can do this twice. You can only do it 1 at a time, but you can do it twice. Clone Medics and Clone Engineers can only do it once. You're 1 and done. The cross-benefit, though, is that first of all, with the Medic especially, why he's 20 points, he's as expensive as a Commander who has Inspire 1 and Reliable 1. But for a Clone Medic, you're probably restoring a clone. That's a really good guy to restore, right? He's very important. But also, this means that even if you expend their capacity, though, they still have guns. If you expend the capacity on a repair droid in other factions, they're done. That mini does nothing for you. You can't even, sacrifice him to get hit unless he's left out in the open, because non-combatants are, second to last, I think is the way it works out. It's been a while since I read the exact wordage. It was always a little weird. Now, on the other hand, this does mean that your Clone Medics and Clone Engineers can be caught out and shot as well, but they have guns. They can shoot back. It's pretty interesting. So, 20 points for the Medic, 18 points for the Engineer. Pretty solid stuff. Only 12 points for a Comms Technician. Makes pretty sense. You have to equip an upgrade to put him on there. Comes with the Comms Tech. You can equip a Comms upgrade. You must equip a Comms upgrade. What Comms upgrade would you equip to generic Clone Troopers? Not sure. HQ uplink's pretty fun. Let's see. Comms Jammer's still really expensive. It's funny, but still expensive, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, long range comlink is... Oh, Comms Jammer is cheap now. It's 5. Okay, they did reduce it. Yeah, I mean, for 5 points, that could be funny. You can Comms Relay, which can be very interesting for Clone Troopers. You can Jammer, you can long range comlink, or you can HQ uplink if you really want to. I think with the way things work, it's probably a relay bait, like most Comms Troopers are, but you never know. I mean, it's those are all 5 points. I would not go for HQ uplink unless you really, really had to, because that's 10 points, right? But most of them are 5 points. That makes him 17 points. He's still the cheapest guy. And then the Clone Commander, you can add him to a unit. He becomes the leader. You gain Inspire 1 and Reliable 1, which is at the start of the activation phase, getting Surge Token, and then Inspire 1 is after your Rally Step, remove Suppression Token from the friendly unit. Honestly, Clone Commander's pretty decent, Let's see. Do I want to compare? Let's compare to how that works out to prices for Phase 1 Specialists and Captains. So a Clone Captain Phase 1 is only Phase 1. You gain a training upgrade. You can tap to make yourself unsuppressible, and that's it. So, yeah, honestly, I think the way and then the Specialist is gaining an extra gear upgrade, and then you can gain aim, dodge, or surge. Yeah, I definitely want to say that while those guys are budget options, in a lot of cases where you'd be using such things, I would probably just go ahead and slap a commander in there. Get that reliable one, get that inspire one. Clone commanders don't have a unique dot, so you can equip a lot of clone commanders if you got the points, but you might not have the points. All in all, I think it's very interesting, and I would not be shocked if... I'm pretty sure those guys didn't get cheaper in the last RG. I don't remember anybody talking about the personnel upgrades, only heavy weapons. But since heavy weapons got rebalanced, I wouldn't be shocked if there wasn't a future points rebalance where maybe some of those guys got a little cheaper. Not by a lot, but maybe a couple of points off. Like, it's a little annoying that, you can get a slot that adds an icon and still costs as much as a guy who adds an icon and then you have to equip an upgrade, right? The minimum cost for him. Sure, the comms technician doesn't do anything special, but still, it's good. Let's not wax too long about this. We got a whole other upgrade pack and some extra stuff to talk about. I just think overall the selection here are pretty interesting. Clones will get a lot of benefits out of their medics, so it makes sense that they are expensive. The having medics and engineers not as non-combatants, also very interesting. We're going to see how that works out. I'm sure lots of Clone players, Republic players are eager to test these out, and I think they are an overall good fit for the faction. So it's time to talk about droids. Now, being eerily similar to the generic clone commander, the T-Series Tactical Droid should actually be a pretty quick one to run through. He's the same point cost, he has the same keywords, except that his direct is to droid troopers. Instead of training, he has comms, pretty typical thing. The main difference here is his defense, which is white with no surge, so this is a fragile boy. Keep that in mind, guys, he's fragile. You might actually want to put Esteemed Leader on him so you can have, like, B2s or somebody take some shots for him, because with a white with no surge, if enemies get at him, they will kill this man. He will die. And then the attacks, which are crappier. So, he's got a bludgeon, aka I think just punch them for a single white in melee. And then, which by the way, again, considering how dangerous melee attacks are, do not, if you are a Separatist player and you're playing the T-Series Tactical Droid as a commander, do not let anybody engage in melee with him. They will beat him up. I think literally like a squad of generic clone troopers, what do they roll, like a black for unarmed? I can probably kick this guy's ass. Generic clone troopers can do it. Heck, generic rebel troopers and stormies can do it. And he's got a commander E5 blaster rifle for red-white. So, red-white is a little more consistent in the 1 damage, especially with sharpshooter 1, than the clone commanders like 3 black dice no modded, but the damage cap isn't as high. Makes sense. The E5 is a shite gun. So the primary thing I think here to talk about is, well, obviously you've got the comms upgrades, but that means that there's some interesting choices you can make because you can acquire, integrated comms antenna. But I think that's about it, because he doesn't have coordinate. He has direct, so you can't use that other coordinate-based comms upgrade. And maybe they got more comms upgrades coming that I don't know about that will be good. So, again, I think the key thing to keep in mind is that Tactical Droid, fragile. Now, you may say, why is he the same price point if he's so much squishier? I think it's got to do with the fact that he's a droid trooper, so he cannot be suppressed, even though he's got 2 courage. That means you actually got to go all the way to 4. Like, you're much more likely to kill this guy than suppress him, which can be a little scary. In addition to he's immune to poison and stuff like that. But you do got to worry about ion. That can be a pain. But also, future spoilers, the droids, guess what? They still have a cheap repair unit. Repairing is cheaper and easier. So, feeding this guy wounds to keep him alive, not that I don't necessarily know if that's the strat or anything yet, but it's very easy to feed him wounds to keep him alive as a droid. And I think that's actually greatly balanced because he's so fragile. Like, there are big blowout turns that you could absolutely just murder this guy, right? Like, if any lightsaber wielder gets in a melee with him, as you might expect, he's dead. He will literally die. Like, I don't think anybody rolls so few dice and doesn't have the appropriate mods that anybody seriously trying to get in a melee with this guy and hit him with a lightsaber, he's not just dead. A lot of big super attacks will just delete this guy, so you've got to be careful, Separatist players. You got to be careful that this T-Series Tactical Droid doesn't go down. So, I think it's decently fair out, because while he's super squishy in an actual fight, there's a lot of other non-fight stuff that he's not squishy in. And we resolved that one a lot faster. And so here we are, back at the command cards. We already knew the 1-pip, mechanized incursion, vehicle, Separatist only. It's the exact same as the Republic one, but it's Droid Trooper instead of Clone Trooper. Decent for Separatists, especially because, double AAT lists will definitely be a thing, so Mechanized Incursion plays very well with that. Issue an order to a vehicle, pass it on to a Droid Trooper. You can also do stuff like coordinate and other shenanigans. Get your units rolling, and droids in general just love order manipulation. I don't think there's much else to say here that I didn't say about the Republic version of this. 2-pip Orbital Strike. Only activates a commander or a heavy unit. Separatist only. 2-pip. Once this round, at the end of the activation of a friendly commander, droid trooper unit, so just the T-Series at this point, I believe, or a friendly field commander unit, so just the AAT, it may perform an attack using the flying weapon. 4 to infinite, red, red, black, black, suppressive, immune to deflect. So this is very interesting. This only is one attack on one target, but it's suppressive. However, it is only on the T-Series as a droid commander, and for the moment, the AAT, who can take field commander, and also has no surge. So it's very interesting. Again, a lot of people are complaining about these. I don't think it's actually, like, as an attack that only issues orders to one unit. It's not actually that great. Like, yeah, sure, free red dice, right? At infinite range, some guy sticks his dongle out there. If you're not in cover on turn 1, your opponent can go, hey, Orbital Strike, I'm going to move my tank into range to fire at you. Or I'm going to double tap with my tank, and then after that, I'm going to huck out an Orbital Strike. You can't deflect it, and you're suppressed. Cool. The droid commander, the T-Series, does get one sharpshooter, so you remove a cover, but still, it's not like Sharpshooter 2 stuff. There's no other mods in here. It will definitely make somebody keep their heads down, as you would expect an Orbital Strike to do. First Orbital Strike available in Legion. Confirmed. The Coordinated Bombardment might be. We don't know. Maximum Firepower, by the way, I've always thought of as an AT-AT at barrage from off-screen. Coordinated Bombardment could be a, artillery strike. It could be a bomber run. It could be anything. Who knows? Orbital Strike is an Orbital Strike, though. So, I think it's pretty good for what it gives the Separatists access to, especially, again, considering really upping that offensive output of a T-Series, right? He's not very attack-heavy, but if you can slap this on him, you can also be like, hey, BT Dubs, boom. I have a real attack for one turn, like a real boy commander. This is not that great otherwise. And then lastly, Roger. Roger. I have to do a lot of this voice when I do the Clone Wars APs. Roger. 3 droid troopers. When a droid trooper is issued, when a unit is issued an order using this card, so droid troopers, you gain a dodge or a surge token. Pretty good. Especially because droids are not as sensitive to suppression. This is definitely a good setup to give them dodges or surges, which they may want. It's pretty fun. Especially plays into synergy with a card they can't use, because I don't even know if they get Vigilance. I think do they still get Vigilance? They might still get Vigilance, but not a lot of them can access it. Still, solid card, decent generic. Gives you the tokens you want, especially that surge token, right? Three surge tokens, that's pretty good. So I think it's a decent incursion, but again, much like before with the actual commander, I don't think there's much to be said about these that I didn't already say about the Republic ones. So I don't know if these accurately portray their own flavor of the factions, right? As opposed to covert observations effects. Not that those are you want it, but you know what I'm saying, right? A lot of those cards are very flavored. These are just the other, but instead of clone, one says clone and one says droid, basically. But I don't know if that matters. I think these just give them consistent, good generic cards, which work for them because they have access to generic commanders now, multiple ways. Let's keep moving. I'm astonished at this point this video is not 30 minutes yet, but hey, we'll get there. Don't you worry. So, the personnel upgrades for droids. These are remarkably similar, but do a couple of interesting things. So, let's talk about the ones that are the same as everybody, basically. The PK Series Worker Droid, the EV Series Medical Droid. Medical Droids are 14, Worker Droids are 12. They're both non-combatants, and they have Treat 1, Repair 1, Capacity 2 for both. So, one's Treat 1, Capacity 2, one's Repair 1, Capacity 2. Free action. Go for it. Non-combatant. Why is the Medical Droid still expensive? Because Separatists have very, very beefy, good organic commanders. Which I think is going to be the EV Series Medical Droid's primary purpose, is you're gonna stick him with a squad of maybe B2s or somebody on a Grievous or a Dooku and act as a close fire support unit, and then heal that man's. By the way, this also leads me to a point thing, because I mentioned talking about B2s. This is very important. All of the personnel upgrades for droids are specifically marked that they have 1 HP only. So even if you use them as super battle droids, SBDs, you still only have 1 wound on these guys. Though, again, the non-combatants are not super great for this. But then we got some interesting stuff. So, let's talk about the T-Series Tactical Droid upgrade card version, for instance. He adds a weapon. He is range 1 to 3, 1 red. And he is a leader. He gains reliable ones, much like the clone leader. You lose AI attack, and you have sidearm ranged. So he has to use his own attack when making a ranged attack. But he adds a ranged weapon. He has that Commander E5 type setup. So this on the other hand is actually like a really interesting choice, right? Because B1s are normally rocking a single white range 1 to 3. So this means that for 18 points, considering they're butt cheap, you can add an extra body, an extra wound, who adds a red die in addition to your heavy weapon, who gives you reliable, and you lose AI attack, right? Like for B1s, that's phenomenal. I expect you're going to see a lot of people trying to fit T-Series Tactical Droids on B1s just to be safe, because you lose AI attack and you get a red die out of it. Who cares that you have to use the red die? I want to use the red die every time. And even for B2s, right, while you don't get the black-white, you don't get 2 dice, you do get a red die at range 3. So this means you get to throw a red die in the mix at the normal ranges, and you can still make potshot attacks with a red die at longer ranges. It also, because he's a heavy guy, this will also enhance your B2 HA Trooper pool, because that means you're rolling 3 red dice and 1 white at range 3, because he's a heavy guy. You can also, it combos well with both upgrades as having an attack. Very good, very cool. I like this effect. And then you get the Viper Recon droids. This is, again, another really interesting thing. So you add a Viper Recon droid mini. This is only 8 points. It gives you Observe 2, so you can add observation tokens. Do I have a good recap on an observation token? Okay, reroll 1 attack die for each observation spent. I'm just pretty sure that's how it worked, but I was like, wait, hold on. It's been a little bit since I talked about this. I want to make sure I'm correct. So you've got Observe 2. As an action, you can stick 2 observation tokens on an enemy unit in range 1 to 3 line of sight. You can then basically spend observation tokens as mini aim tokens to reroll a single die. So it gains 2 observation tokens because it's Observe 2. So it's the equivalent of an aim token for any unit in your squad who shoots at that guy. That's really good for droids. Because he's 8 points, I'm pretty sure that you will literally see this for most, because he still has an attack. Now, it's range 1 to 2, and he can only use it sidearm. But it's 2 white dice. So, again, Viper Recon droids, I think, play very well with super battle droids. Like, if you're advancing across the field, you can throw your Viper Recon droid on there and be like, okay, I can't make it to you this turn, but I'm going to slap a spotter on you. I'm going to observe you. Observation tokens. Boom. And also still contributing decently. I mean, it's 2 white dice. It's not black-white, but it's still 2 dice at range 1 to 2. Contributing decently to your attack pool. Same with the sticking him on B1s, right? Like, technically you lose a range, but when you get this guy in range, he is contributing as much dice as 2 extra personnel upgrades would, in addition to that observation ability. For 8 points, like, I think this is actually, like, for droids, this is a really, really good upgrade, and you're going to see this a lot just because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I have 8 points, I can put a Viper Recon droid. So, watch out. Talking about distinct flavors, I think the T-Series Tactical Droid and the way the Viper Recon Droid are handled are very, very flavorful to the Separatists. No offense to Clone Troopers, I like the Republic as a faction more, and I love their aesthetic. But because they're Clone Troopers, they're still very much in line with how Rebels and Imperials fight, how they handled a lot of Stormtrooper upgrades and stuff. This is very unique, which has always been the Separatist big thing. I don't think I got anything else to say about that, though. So, one last little bit of real preview for you, which is this new card, Vigilance. I'm not sure what's vigilant about these guys, but it looks cool, whatever. Vigilance is a command upgrade. During the end phase, choose another friendly trooper unit at range 1 to 2, or up to 2 friendly core trooper units at range 1 to 2. Each chosen unit doesn't remove a dodge token. 5 points. Great upgrade. Brilliant. Really hope that Rebels and arguably Imperials, but mostly Rebels can get access to this as well. This is very useful for all factions in general. And it's an interesting way to break out the mechanics, right? You can hold on to dodge tokens for other people. This is very useful, depending on your setup, and I think it makes a lot of stuff useful. If you end up with unspent dodge tokens, it's actually really neat. Republic will really like this because they have the ability to share these tokens, so that could be very handy. Sorry, I yawned. Been doing this for 30 minutes, guys. Technically more, actually, because I'm editing it as I record it. Anyway. But also, Rebels love dodge tokens, and it's, for nimble guys and stuff, this is actually, like, really, really friggin' important. So I think it's a very good upgrade. Other than that, though, there's not a lot to say about it. Like, you should be able to read it and understand that it's good to keep dodge tokens. And last but not least, let's take a little visit down to the rumor mill. You may have seen some YouTube videos about this already, but according to continuing product leaks, I have actually seen some images myself, though, no details. The next Imperial unit, presumably a heavy, will be the LAAT LE, Law Enforcement, aka the Imperial/Republic police gunship. This is a screen grab from Rebels, I think, actually. So it was prominently used in Rebels a few times as an old... basically, it was used in the Clone Wars by the Republic, by Coruscant Guard and other stuff. By the time we get to the Rebels era, it's basically like a military surplus helo that's been repurposed as like a police unit and stuff, though it still has missiles because it's Star Wars. Why do our police gunships need missiles? Who knows? So, shockingly, a lot of people seem upset about this. Honestly, I always thought that hell, there were people saying this would come to X-Wing, which was very silly, even after they did an LAAT. But, like, the LE version, that was a little goofy. But no, like, this thing fits way better into Legion scale than the vanilla LAAT. I say this as a man who loves the LAAT, right? I love that thing. Gunships are cool, guys. But the patrol gunship, the law enforcement type, is only about 11 meters long. So, that's a lot, more comparable to things that are in Legion. The snowspeeder is about 5 meters long, so this thing's about 2 snowspeeders long. It'll be chunky, but it'll fit a lot better into the designation of the setting. Presumably it'll have access to the ordnance type upgrades, or maybe it'll just have a missile attack, I'm not sure. But it'll be interesting. It will be able to serve as a closed transport that is a hovering vehicle, I assume, right? And it will be distinct somewhat from the AA-5, because the AA-5 is going to be probably a chunky APC. Like, it's probably not going to have a lot of offensive output. I've said this before when talking about that leak. It's probably not going to have a lot of offensive output to its own, but it'll probably be pretty solid with probably armor and red saves, a decent HP pool. This also gives access that, theoretically, Imperials could get access to Field Commander, and same with Rebels. In this shot, I believe our boy Grand Moff Tarkin is on one of these, though I don't know if he's Grand Moff yet. Governor Tarkin, he might have just been. But, there's a Tarkin man on one of these gunships doing this shot, right? You want a Field Commander? Perfect sense. I don't think Thrawn ever climbed in a gunship, but he was in Rebels as well, so, there's a lot of stuff that you could do to get Imperial's Field Commander type upgrade cards that'll go on this. I don't understand the disappointment. Yes, in the Rebels art style, and even in the Clone Wars art style, these things are a little deformed, but they've got TIE-style solar panels, guys. What more do you want? That's Imperial as heck. It's a compact police helicopter. It'll do some stuff, and quite frankly, it's not as ugly as the Imperial dropships from Force Unleashed. Even though I kind of like that series, the Imperial gunships in Force Unleashed were butt ugly. So this at least has a somewhat creative design. And I can't let you hate the space truck. Yeah, I know, it's a space truck, but it fits the Rebels aesthetic. What is it not but the natural evolution of the weaponized technical land speeder, Anyway, that's our rumors. I'm interested to see how it goes, see if those are confirmed, and to definitely think about those units, right? Could definitely be really interesting. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed and watched this video. I genuinely do. Because, like I said, haven't had a super great response from people out of Legion videos lately, and I don't know if we're going to continue them. Not that my passion for the game or the setting or anything is waning. If anything, I'm more Star Warsy now than I've ever been. Thank you, Mandalorian, and running a Clone Wars AP. Which, by the way, you should check out. It's in our AP folder, all the Clone Wars. We got 50 episodes. I know that's a lot, but just fill time while you paint minis. Throw us on in the background. You'll catch some fun times. Skip around if you like. You can probably find out when different arcs end and begin. That's also by Fantasy Flight's RPG, since Edge hasn't reprinted it yet. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I'm gonna close out the FFG era in Legion at least, and then we're probably gonna see how AMG handles announcements and stuff to see if they're convenient for me to make videos out of, or if I don't know, just casually talk about Star Wars stuff when I feel like it. And that's the video, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. Seriously, give me those likes, give me those shoutouts, give me those engagements. Let us know. Same, hit up that comments below. You know, are you interested in continuing to see Legion content? How do you feel about the AMG move? Are you excited for the LAAT LE, or are you one of those people who's wrong and thinks it's ugly and bad? Seriously, guys, you're gonna get a friggin' flying vehicle as Imperials. Why aren't you happier? Anyway, comments down below. You can also hit up us on our Discord. That link is, as always, in the description. You can also subscribe if you haven't already to get more Legion content for now. You want to catch those Lando updates, the announcement of these heavy units when they hit up. I'll be right there. I'll be ready to do it. Ready to go. And of course, you can also hit that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream, such as when we post our AP videos. And of course, like it's the friend of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon and get access to this episode early and lots of other goodies, and it helps support us. And that is everything. Eyes on the skies, Traveler.